Good evening and welcome everyone to the session of Answer Writing Lecture 2 on the platform of Khan Global Studies. So I hope all of you are doing well. Good evening and welcome everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. Good evening. Okay, so yes, so I welcome you all in this session. Last day we have started this session of answer writing in English medium on this channel itself and also on the applications. Many of you are also viewing the same thing on application as well. So first of all, welcome to this session and tell me one thing. How many of you have uploaded the answer? How many of you have uploaded the answer? Who has not uploaded? How many of you have uploaded the answer? Achha. So some of you have uploaded it, yes. So many of you have uploaded the answer. That is quite good. Yes, we have received enormous good number of copies. We have received very good number of copies. A few of you have not uploaded. And I think that for some of you, the challenge may have been like what to write in that question. Some of you might not have read that question also. So see, this is not about preparing the content for the examination. This is not that you are able to write or you should write only when you know the content. We are giving you question for almost like 20 hours. So even if you focus on that, even if you focus on those topics, you can specifically prepare for that topic. You can read about that topic and then you can write the answer. So it is not the test of your knowledge. It is the upgradation of your skill which we are trying to do through this course. For the knowledge, of course, many of you are there in the foundation batch. Many of you have completed the foundation batch. Many of you have even appeared for the mains examination and even interview. So I know that some of you are already done with the syllabus. Some of you have just started the syllabus. So it is not about the checking of knowledge. Rather than that, it is about the skilling part, that if you have got any question, if you have got the material also, then how you can write the answer. See, there is one common saying about UPSC examination. You won't find anyone cheating in the UPSC examination. Why? Because even if you give a book to anyone during the UPSC examination, even if you give them all the notes and every material, then also they won't be able to solve the question at that time if they don't have the knowledge about the subject, if they don't have the knowledge about the topic. So this is one thing about UPSC. So see one thing, now you are getting the question, read about that topic and then try to write about this. These answer writing sessions are for the skill upgradation, not just the knowledge part. Okay. So those who have not done it, those who have not uploaded it, I hope that for today's question, you will be uploading the answer. So in today's session, again, we are continuing from the last day. We will discuss some of the basics of answer writing first. First, we will discuss some basics about answer writing. Second thing is, we are also going to discuss some of the copies which have been submitted, some of the copies which you have written. You can identify your copies over here, and then we will also discuss about this answer, that how you can actually proceed with it, in what manner you can write it. That is also something which we are going to do. Okay. And then I will give you some questions also. At the end of the session, I will give you the question for the next day. And today I will give you a little bit easier question so that many of you can write this. Okay. Now, so as we were discussing this in the first session, we have seen the basics about mains examination. Today is the second session. So we will learn about directives. We will learn a few more things about it, about the mains answer writing. Okay. In the last session, we have discussed this part, that what needs to be done first. We have seen that the first thing which has to be done is identification of the demand of question. So this one is one thing which we have discussed in the first lecture itself, that what you have to do, how you have to identify the demand of the question. Now there is one thing, the common mistakes which are done by many people during writing the mains answers. One of the common mistake, and a very silly mistake actually I would say, which results in deduction of marks in the actual examination, is when you cross that area. One of the main challenges, when you cross that area which is earmarked for writing the answer. Okay, like see, normally if you look at this, you will find that like suppose if we are having the questions, we have to write it in a designated space. So you all might have seen on the portal itself, you might have got this copy size, you might have got this copy. So you have to write within that space. It should not be exceeding this space at all. It should not be going up. It should not be going even down. Like suppose that many of you are trying to write in these portions also. Many of you are trying to write in these portions also, or sometimes crossing this line. The moment you cross that line, your marks are going to be deducted. Yes, in the mains examination also, UPSC has deducted the marks in the past. They have also deducted the marks in the past if you are crossing these lines. Do not write anything. Suppose you have to write you are writing points and you have to write this is point number 1, point number 2. Even that point number 1 or 2 cannot be written beyond these lines. You have to write each and everything within this line itself. That's why we have got this PDF for you. You can see it in your portal also. You can download it from there and try to write the answers in this format. Write the answers in this format in this page, so that you can have an idea that in one page how much words you can write. From there you can easily estimate that if you have written one page, how many words would have been there. Okay, so this is one thing, overwriting or going beyond the area, like overflow during writings, overflow on the either side during the writing. That is one thing which we see in the students. The second important thing which we see, that suppose if there are two parts of the question, you are not doing the justice with both the part. Okay, in many questions what we see, that the students are writing the answer of first part very well, but then they are ignoring the second part of the question. So if you are getting two parts or three parts, all of them are very much important for the question. You have to give equal weightage for all these things. You have to give equal weightage to all the parts of question. Okay, so equal weightage to all parts. One another thing which we see, that when you are writing the answer, you give some headings, like you write this is introduction. You first write like this introduction and then you start, or sometimes you write this that it is conclusion and then you start. So these two words you don't have to mention. You don't have to mention that this is conclusion, this is introduction. The first paragraph itself means it is the introduction, and the last paragraph will automatically means that it will be conclusion. So you don't have to use this. In the middle of the answers, you can make subheadings like these are the points in favor, points in against, way forward. That you can do, but you don't have to write introduction or conclusion over there. Okay, means these words don't have to be written. You don't have to write this word, that introduction, and then you start writing the introduction. No, you don't have to even write conclusion before writing your last paragraph or your paragraph of conclusion. This is not required. Okay, so this is one thing which we have observed in many copies, and I think that after this you will be improving upon it. Okay, so this is first part. The second thing is that if you are like writing any question, so what should be the ideal length? What should be the ideal length of introduction, main body and conclusion? These are the three main things. If you are writing any such answer, you have to write the introduction, you have to write the main body, you have to write the conclusion. These are not optional. These are not optional. If you are not writing introduction, if you are not writing conclusion, it means your answer is not complete. So for any answer, there is going to be this introduction, main body and conclusion. It is must, must and must. You have to write it. In any type of question, you have to give introduction, you have to give conclusion. This is first and foremost requirement. Yes, in the past, there were some direct questions also, but now UPSC is not asking in that manner as it used to do before 2012. Okay. So now the pattern is changed. So in the current pattern, you have to write introduction, main body, conclusion. That is the basic requirement. Okay. Now, the second thing is, what should be the word limit? What should be the word limit for writing the introduction, main body and conclusion? What should be the word limit? See, both introduction and conclusion combined together, they should not increase 30% of word limit. They should not increase 30% of word limit. Both of them combined together. It means if there is an answer which you have to write in 150 words, it means in any case, your introduction plus conclusion should not be exceeding 50 words. If you are able to keep it within 40 to 45 words, that is the best. That is the best. Okay. So around 40 to 50 words, that is for like intro plus conclusion. Okay. Intro plus conclusion. So it can be like 20 to 25 words here, 20 to 25 words here. This is the max limit. If you are crossing it, you are crossing the word limit. You are also reducing your word for the main body answer. So combined together, they should not be exceeding 30% of your answer, 30% of your word limit. If you have got a 250 word question, so will you be using 80 words? No. There again, try to make sure that in any case, it doesn't increase 50 to 60 words combined together. Don't go for writing like, now we have got 250 word question, so we can write 40 words for introduction, 40 words for conclusion. No. Again, use the same thing, 20 to 25 words for introduction, 20 to 25 words for conclusion. You can reduce it, but don't increase it. Keep it within the limit. That is going to be helpful for you. Your first paragraph should not be exceeding more than 4 lines at all. Normally, you write 5 or 6 words in one line. So it should not be exceeding 4 lines at all for the introduction also, for conclusion also. So I hope this part is clear, that how much you have to devote of your words on the introduction and conclusion in both the questions, in 150 also, in 250 also. I hope this is clear. Video is getting stuck. See, those students who are facing difficulty in app, you can also see it similarly at this YouTube session also. You can watch it on the YouTube also if you are getting some problem there. But meanwhile, the technical team will see this also. Okay. Yeah, that is okay. SKK, that is okay. You can take the help of book. No problem right now. We are working on the skilling part rather than the content part. So even if you are going for the books for writing the answer right now, that is not a problem at all. Okay. Those students who are having this challenge, no, Himanshi, if you are typing the answer, that is not going to help you, because typing of answer is not the actual format. So what you have to do, just write on a plain paper, make it in a PDF format. If you are getting like if the file size is getting increased, compress it using any online compressor and then you can upload it. Okay. So now that is the first part. The second thing is, there is also one question in many of you, that how we have to write. Do we have to write in a point-wise manner or a paragraph manner? So what is your preference? Before like going for my observation on this, I would like to ask you that what is your preference? Are you going for point-wise or are you trying to write it in a paragraph manner? Okay, Shraddha, I got it. So tell me about this one. If you are getting a question, mixture of both. Okay, point-wise, some of you are saying point-wise. Some of you are also saying as per the requirement, mixture of both. Okay. According to question, but I choose point-wise. Okay. See, so if we are looking at this, like okay, Himanshi, I will ask the technical team for this. If you are having difficulty in PDF uploading, I will ask the technical team for this, that what else can be done. Okay. Introduction. See, remember one thing, introduction and conclusion will always be there in a small paragraph. For introduction and conclusion, there is no discussion at all. It will always be in a small paragraph, a paragraph of 3 or 4 lines. That is what you have to do in introduction and conclusion. Now, there is always a debate that if you are writing the main body, should it be in the point-wise manner or should it be in the paragraph manner? Remember one thing, it depends on the demand of the question. It depends on the demand of the question. Now, if you are writing any such question where they have asked you that what are the factors, like suppose I give you example, that what are the factors that led to the revolution of 1857. Now here they are asking what are the factors. Factors means you have to give plural. You have to give plural. So if they ask you this question, what are the factors that led to the revolt of 1857, it will be better if you write that in a point-wise manner, because you have to just mention that what factors led to this. Now at the same time, if they are asking you the other question, discuss the events that led to this revolt of 1857. Now, in the both questions, there are difference. First is, what are the factors that led to the revolt of 1857? Second is saying, discuss the events that led to the revolt of 1857. So, when it is saying discuss the events, there you can go in a small paragraph manner also. But when it is asking what are the factors, you can go in point-wise manner. I hope this is clear to you, that we can use both point-wise as well as paragraph. But remember one thing, if you are using paragraph, do not make it like an essay. Your one paragraph should be ideally of 3 or 4 lines. And if you are writing point-wise, some people write point-wise also and they make that point as a paragraph only. So when you are making use of point-wise writing of answer, then that point should not be exceeding more than 1.5 lines. Okay, 1 to 1.5 lines. This is what your point should look like. Otherwise, you are losing that benefit. If you are using a point-wise answer, your point cannot be of 4 lines. If your point is of 4 lines, that is a paragraph. Okay. So if you are using paragraph, that should be of 3-4 lines. If you are using point-wise, that should be of 1 or 1.5 lines. That is what you have to do. Okay. Now see this. According to the demand, we can choose whether we have to go for paragraph or whether we have to go for pointwise. While we will discuss the questions, we will see that what approach could be there in writing any answer. We will try to see that also. Okay. So this is one demand. Now, coming to the main part. Directives. So yes, this is one of the main thing which many of you have been asking about, the directives which are there in the question. So here we have 4 directives first. One is elucidate, elaborate, explain and evaluate. The E4 series. The E4 series which we have. Okay. Here we have elucidate, elaborate, explain and evaluate. So let us try to understand this. When we are talking about elucidate, when we are talking about this elucidate, what does this mean? It means you have to explain something with the help of examples. Suppose you got a question that elucidate the features of parliamentary form of government in India. Elucidate the features of parliamentary form of government in India. So there you can mention specific things, that in India we are following bicameralism. Then you can write an example that we have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In India we are having the responsibility of a collective responsibility principle. We are having this collective responsibility principle. In the example you can write all the ministers, there is a famous line that they rise and sink together. So you can mention that all the ministers hold their post simultaneously, otherwise the entire government have to resign. Okay. So if prime minister resigns, the entire government resigns. Okay. So you can mention, you can explain something with example. Explain all the points. Explain all the points with examples. With examples. So normally when they are asking you some features of any particular thing, they use this word of elucidate. They use this option of elucidate. Like, let me show you one question. See here, the 1857 uprising was the culmination of recurrent big and small local rebellions that had occurred in the preceding 100 years of British rule. And the key word is elucidate. Means you have to tell that how the various big and small local rebellions became a source for the 1857 uprising. It means you have to give a lot of example there. You have to talk about the the fight of Rani Lakshmibai also. You have to talk about the Marathas war against England also. You have to talk about the Wadiyar kingdom, Tipu Sultan and everyone who were fighting against these British empires. So there you have to explain your point with the help of example. You can mention about the tribal the revolts at that time. You can mention about the agricultural revolts at that time. So it is saying it is like culmination of big and small local rebellions. So in this you have to explain, you have to mention that what were those big or small local rebellions. You have to give point by point. You have to mention the example of that. So that is one question from 2018 UPSC mains examination that you have to elucidate. So that is our first keyword, elucidate. Now see, there is another thing called as elaborate. Elaborate means you have to explain about something. You have to go into the deeper analysis of that topic. You have to go in depth of that topic. See here, understand it through a question. The road to rural prosperity in India goes through the development of dairy sector, and then they have given this keyword elaborate. Means you cannot simply say that yes, dairy sector will lead to development of India. You have to tell in detail how the dairy sector development will bring prosperity in the rural areas. In what manner, in what way it is going to bring this prosperity in the rural areas? Elaborate. Means explain all the different angles that yes, it will create additional avenues of employment. It will ensure additional income for the farmers. It will prevent against the seasonal changes, like if there is monsoon, if monsoon fails, then also dairy sector will work. Okay. So you have to elaborate, you have to go in depth of that topic, you have to explain each and every angle. So this is what we see in the case of elaborate. You have to go into deeper like analysis of that topic. You have to tell about each and every angle of that topic. So that is elaborate. Then we have another thing, explain. Normally what you will find that explain is mostly given with some key terms. Like they will ask you explain blockchain technology, explain central bank digital currency. Like let me show you here itself. Like the question here. See here. How will the shift of subsidies from fossil fuels to renewables help achieve the above objective? There is a question that do you think India will meet 50% of its energy need from renewable energy by 2030? First part of question is saying justify your answer. Okay, that yes, India will meet or not, justify your answer. Second part says how will the shift of subsidies from fossil fuel to renewables help to achieve the above objective? How it will create? Explain means you have to explain the process. In the explain, you have to talk about process. I will give you a hint here. When you get a topic like, when you get a directive like explain, try to make flow chart. Try to make flow chart. In these type of question, try to make flow chart because it is asking about explaining. So explain the process to them. Explain that process to them, that if you remove the subsidies from the fossil fuel, if you transfer it to renewables, how this process is going to be there, how this process is going to benefit, how this process is going to help India to achieve this objective of 50% of energy from non-fossils. So use the flow chart to explain this option, to explain this shift of subsidy. The shift of subsidy. So that is our one topic, explain. There is another thing, evaluate. So evaluate, whenever you get this keyword, it means you don't only have to discuss the different part, you also have to give the opinion. Evaluate means, suppose I got your copy. So in your copy, I will see how introduction has been written, how the main body has been written. Have you met the demand of question or not? Have you explained all the angles or not? What is the good thing in your answer? What is the bad thing in your answer? What is the strength? What is the weakness? So when you get topics like evaluate, assess, to what extent, if you get these topics, it means now you have to be very much thoroughly examining that topic. You have to go in detail of that topic. You have to show the achievement also. You have to show the limitations also. Like see this question. See this question. The new economic policy of Lenin had influenced the policies adopted by India soon after independence. Evaluate. So it is saying that the new economic policy of Lenin of 1921, it has influenced India's economic economic policy after the independence. So now we have been given this option, evaluate. So here evaluate will mean that yes, to what extent it has influenced. Has it influenced? In what manner? You can explain it. You can give some example. Then you have to talk about the other dimension of it. That no, India was not only following the Lenin policy, it was something different also. It was something different also. We had our own policy as well. Those policies which were suitable for India. We have followed both type of approach. We have used the approach of Lenin also. We have used the approach of Mahatma Gandhi also. We have used the approach of Nehru also. Okay. So we were going in all these different manners. So it cannot be said that we had just done only one part. Okay, so this is one thing which you have to use here. This is one thing which you have to use here. Evaluate means going in both dimension, and then in this question, in the conclusion part, you have to give your opinion. Whether you agree with this statement or not, you have to come back to this. Whenever you get a question like evaluate, assess, examine, in all these questions, come back to opinion, come back to this in conclusion part, give your opinion, whether you agree with this or not. Whether you agree with this or not, you have to give your opinion there. You cannot shy away from that. These are 4 directives. First tell me, is it clear? Is it clear to everyone that what do we mean by this? Evaluate, assess, explain, elaborate or elucidate. Is it clear? So this is one thing, like elaborate part. See, when you get the elaborate part, it means you have to delve deeper into the topic. Okay, like just let me give you one another question, that elaborate the educational policies of British in India and its impact on Indian national movement. Okay, elaborate the policies of British, educational policies of British in India and its impact on Indian national movement. Okay, so in that thing, you will not just mention about the, you will not be only mentioning about the policies, you will also be telling it that what was the aim of the policy. You will not simply just mention that there was a Macaulay Minute, or there was this Hunter Commission, or there was this University Commission, different things. Okay, so you will not be only mentioning about the topic, you will also mention what was done by that committee, what was done by that proper mission of British, or that policy of British, how it has impacted the Indian national movement. So when we talk about elaborate, you will take each dimension of the answer and you will go into the deeper analysis of that topic or that dimension. Okay. So here when we talk about elaborate, discuss various dimensions, mention various dimension, and also discuss about them, discuss about those dimensions, also discuss about those dimensions. This is one thing which you have to do. Explain it, generally explain the process, explain the process or mechanism. Try to use flow chart, show the sequence, Okay, so this is one thing which you have to do in this explain. Then in evaluate, what you have to do, in evaluate you have to discuss the positive as well as negative of any topic. Okay, positive plus negative, plus give your opinion. Okay. So this is one thing which you have to do in these 4 keywords. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone. Mosami, if you are not getting it on the app, try to see it on the YouTube also. You have this one, KGS IAS English. So if you are not able to get it on the application properly, maybe some internet issues or other things can be there. So for the time being, for this lecture, do one simple thing, just come over the YouTube also. There also it is running. You have to just simply search KGS IAS English. Okay, there you will get the live session of this class also. Okay. So I hope this is clear. I hope this is clear for everyone. Now see, so these 4 keywords we will discuss in today's class. Some more keywords are there which we will be discussing in tomorrow's session, because we have to discuss other things also. So we will try to take them one by one. In tomorrow's session, we will, like not tomorrow, on Friday, we will discuss these things also with the help of example, that how we can do this. We will also talk about critically discuss, critically examine, critically analyze, critically comment. So that critically word, what does that mean? We will try to see that also. Okay. So this is one thing which we will covering in the next session, these directives as well. Okay. Now, coming to this part, like the question which was there. Yeah, we will come to this, come to that. Critically evaluate or evaluate. I told you just now that we will be discussing that. We will be discussing that in the Friday session. That what is the meaning of this critically and critically evaluate. We will discuss that. Okay. Now, come to this part. Bring out, that was the question last day. Bring out the constitutional immunities enjoyed by the governor of a state with the help, enjoyed by the governor of a state. With the help of examples, throw light on few common areas of conflict between governor and state government in recent past. The question was very much simple. If you look at this question, it was very straightforward question. It was very straightforward question. What you have to do in the introduction, you can simply mention about the constitutional position of the governor. You can simply mention about the constitutional position of the governor. That is one thing which you can mention in the introduction. Second thing is, bring out the constitutional immunities. Means, according to constitution, what are the immunities which are provided to the governor? This is one thing which you have to discuss in the main body. So first thing is, in the introduction, I am giving you just an idea. Okay. In the introduction, you can simply mention about the constitutional position of governor. Constitutional position of governor. That is one part. In the main body, what you have to do? In the main body, what you have to do is, first you can simply mention about the immunities. The first part will be immunities. Okay. Here, if you mention, see one thing, it is very much crucial for you to understand one part of it. In GS paper 2, many a times you will have this one question in your mind. Do we have to mention the constitutional articles or not? Do we have to remember the constitutional articles or not? This is one thing which will come in your mind many a times. Okay. Now see one thing, GS paper 2 and GS paper 3, you will find that in these subjects, people know a lot of things, but still after that, they get lower marks in GS paper 2 also, GS paper 3 also. So if you want to improve upon that, if you want to increase your marks by 10 to 15 numbers, remember the articles. It is not mandatory, but if you use it, you get extra marks. It is as simple as that. If you use the articles, if you use the constitutional articles, if you write the number over there, you get extra marks. Okay, that is as simple as that. Mention articles for extra marks. mention articles. Remember one thing, extra marks. Everyone knows the same thing, that governor have some immunity. Governor cannot be questioned for the acts or his whatever laws or whatever actions have been taken by him. He cannot be questioned for that. There cannot be any such criminal proceedings against him because he is on a constitutional post. He has got discretionary power also without any questioning. So yes, these immunities are there. Everyone knows that. But what will make your answer stand apart from other is if you mention this article. If you mention that article, if you authenticate it with answer, with article, that will bring you extra marks. As simple as that. You can simply mention your answer. You can simply mention your answer without article also. But if you mention the article, it will bring more marks. I hope that is clear. Okay. Second thing, in the question, see this, that is first part, bring out. So you don't have to go in detail of it. You have to simply tell according to article this power is enjoyed by governor. According to this article, this power is enjoyed by governor. Okay. So it is very much simple. You don't have to go into the detail of it. Okay. Then the second part is, with the help of example, throw light on few common areas of conflicts between governor and state government in recent past. So that is the second part of question, that mention about recent examples of conflict. Recent examples of conflict. Okay. So if you know about 3 or 4 examples, that is also sufficient. Here you can mention 2-3 examples of immunities with the article. Here you can mention about the conflicts. This was a 150 word. This was a question for 150 words. If I am not wrong, this was a question for 150 word. So you don't have that much option. Mention 2-3 parts of immunities. Mention 3-4 examples of recent conflicts. Your work is done. Okay. But now comes the second part. Now comes the second part, that what you will do after this. This is the part where you have to bring the X factor in your answer. This is where you have to bring the X factor in your answer. Now, coming to that X factor, everyone will be doing this part. Now the third part is X factor. See, remember one thing, what you have mentioned here, you have mentioned conflict. You have mentioned conflict, means you have mentioned the problem. You have mentioned the problem. So whenever you mention the problem, you have to mention the solution also. But this is a question of 150 marks, sorry, 150 words. This is a question of 150 words. You cannot waste your words over there. So in that case, what you will do? In that case, you have to make a flow chart or a diagram where you can suggest how to resolve the conflict of the states. Resolving conflict. There you can mention about the various recommendations which are there. You can mention the governor should be a neutral person. There can be a neutral person, appointment of neutral person as governor. That will be one part of arrow. Like here you can mention like this, conflict resolution. Conflict resolution. Just make a thing like this, make a star like things. Even if you mention 3 or 4, that will be simply done. Okay. On one side you can write appointment of neutral person as governor. As governor. Involvement of a state. Involvement of a state in appointment. In appointment. Defining the discretionary power. Defining the discretionary power. Okay. So like this, you can mention some points over there. This is not going to consume your word also. This will be in just a few words. You will be able to tell this. No one is going to count these words. They will see it as a diagram. No one is going to count these words. It will be seen simply as a diagram. Okay. And then you can mention the last part of your answer, that is conclusion. In the last part, you can mention, in here, you can mention the last part of it, the third important part, conclusion. The conclusion part here. That in this case, see, in this case, what was the question about? Immunities, and then second part was about this recent conflicts. So you have already mentioned about constitutional post, immunities and everything. Now comes this part where you have to mention the conclusion. In conclusion, you can mention some names, like you can mention the name of Sarkaria Commission. You can mention about second ARC. You can mention about any of the judgment of Supreme Court with respect to that. Okay. So in this part, what you can bring like the unique factor, you can bring some like some cases, some judgments, some of the like recommendations of ARC or maybe Sarkaria Commission, any commission. Whatever you have seen, you can mention over there. You can mention it over there, and then you can end your answer with that. Any of the recommendation of any commission or Supreme Court or any other thing with respect to governor relevant to this question, you can end your answer. So this is going to be the format of how you have to approach the question. Okay. I hope first this is clear. Now, this one question, it is important to memorize all articles or not? See, you cannot memorize all the articles. There are more than like 450 plus articles right now, reaching now around 500. You don't have to memorize all them. Memorize some of the articles with respect to governor, some of the articles with respect to interstate relations or federalism, some of the articles with respect to judiciary, some of the articles with respect to parliament. So there are only a few things, and then fundamental rights are there. I think everyone remembers the article of fundamental right. So fundamental rights, DPSP, then parliament, judiciary, then you have this governor and federalism. Normally you get questions around this, sometimes also about election commission. Okay. So you don't have to like memorize all the articles. If you try to memorize it with the context, you will find that there are hardly 70 to 80 articles which you have to memorize, and that is an easy task. 80 out of 500, that is an easier task. Okay. So this is first part. Now let me show you some copies also. You will get the written part of this also, like you will get this model answer also, like what examples you can put. But I am just telling you that what is the way of writing. You will obviously get this entire thing, okay, that you can also read. But here I am telling you the format how you have to write the answer. Okay. Now let me show you some copies also. Many of you have been waiting for this. So see, this is about revolutionary nationalism. This question here. Which copy is it? UPSC answer writing. Bring out the constitutional immunities. So see, this answer has been written. First, it is telling about the constitutional position of the governor, that governor is the state executive head, acting on councils of ministers' advice. The governor summons the legislature, promulgates ordinances, asserts to bills and appoints ministers. So it is like giving a basics about the governor. Then there is constitutional immunities which have been mentioned. Immunities from court proceedings, Article 361. Then exemption from court appearances, discretionary power. Okay. No legal review of this advice. Okay. Delay in assent to bills. So these are some parts of things which have been given. Now from here, the second part of answer is starting. Areas of conflict between governor and state government. There again, proper categorization is there. delay in assent to bills, alleged partition role, appointment of CM, control over universities. Then examples are also mentioned about Kerala, about Maharashtra, West Bengal, summoning and dissolving the assembly, Punjab governor. Okay, so what we have seen that in this question there have been proper heading also. There is also mention of some examples as well. So this is one part which has been done quite well. That one X factor is still missing here. That one X factor which you have to add, that is missing here. So whose copy it was? Whose copy it was? Do you remember your copy? It is page number 7, 8. Okay. So you can remember your copy letter also. You can mention in the comment whose copy it was. Okay. Now, coming to one more question here, one more answer. This answer was also written in a good manner. The governor of state and everything. Now, in this part also, like the different powers and other things have been mentioned. Conflict between governor and a state government, that has also been mentioned. Okay, articles and everything is mentioned here. Okay, misuse of article 356. Then we have this article 200 of the constitution, that is also something mentioned. Okay, so this question is also mentioning about various examples, and even it is categorizing the answer. So that is also a good answer. You can recognize your copy from here. Like I told you, this part you don't have to do this one. Like even in this answer you can see you have written answer on this side, question here. Do not write anything beyond this line. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. This is a practice which you all must avoid. Okay. Then bring out the constitutional immunities enjoyed by the governor. Here again there is a recent example. That is also one way of writing. You can mention some recent thing also. Okay. Then here it is asking about, here it is telling about the different immunities enjoyed, like governor cannot be questioned. Article and everything is also mentioned. Okay. Governor is not answerable for civil criminal cases. Okay. No arrest and imprisonment. That is also something which has been mentioned here. Okay. So there is also mention about, now here there is one good way in this answer, that after ending this one line has been added, that in recent past some conflict arise between governor of a state and legislature of a state. So this is also one of the good way of writing it. Okay. Then those the person who have written this answer, what you have to do, once you have mentioned till here, after this state, bring the points directly. Don't mention about this, that one of the common reason was interference of governor in the legislative power of a state. Okay, don't mention it, directly bring it to the points. Don't mention it here, bring it down, mention in point-wise format. Okay. So this is what we call as linker. This is what we call as linker, means adding, or you can say that like linking two parts of answer, that is also required. So this use of linker is good here. Okay. Recently examples are there, discretionary power, Goa assembly election. Okay. So this is also something which has been provided. Now in many of the question, in almost all of those questions, what we have seen that X factor which I have told you that you can mention, since you have mentioned about conflict, you can make a chart to show that what can be the conflict resolution mechanism, that is missing in many of the answer. So try to add that as part of your answer also. Okay. I hope it is clear. Okay, it is copy of Muskan. So yes, good. So this is one such topic. Now coming to the second question, let us discuss that second question also. Second question was, what factors, focus on the question, focus on the demand of question, what factors led to growth of revolutionary nationalism in India in the early 20th century? So the demand is very much simple. What factors? It is not asking you to explain the factor. It is simply saying you what factors, you can mention it point wise. So this is what I am telling you. This is what I was telling you earlier also, that while we are discussing the questions, we will see that in which question we can approach in a point wise manner, where we can go for paragraph also. So here it is simply asking what factors led to growth of revolutionary nationalism in the early 20th century. Okay, so you have to focus on that part. Now in the introduction, of course, you can mention like about this early 20th century, what happened during that time. You can mention some example also. Okay, so in the introduction, what you can do, add the context about early 20th century. If possible, if you remember, mention some examples also in the introduction itself, but don't write it as example. Simply write that, like here it is written, in the early 20th century witnessed the rise of revolutionary nationalism in India as a response to British colonial oppression and limitations of moderate approaches within the national movement. Okay, so there you can mention that various prominent personalities like Khudiram Bose, you can mention about like Chapekar brothers, okay, and others who have contributed during that time in the early 20th century. You can mention their names also. You can mention about like all the revolutionary leaders. You can mention a few names, 2-3 prominent names you can mention there, that they have started this process of revolutionary activities in the early 20th century. So that is also one approach which you can follow here. Okay, now after that, what you have to do, second part, main body, mention the factors, go in point wise manner. If you simply write the factors which led to this, it will be quite good. One liner factors are also the same for this one. You don't have to explain it. Question is asking what factors. It is not asking explain the factors. It is not asking discuss the factors. It is simply asking what factors. So go in this point wise manner and just write one liner. Save your word for the second part of the question. Here the second part is saying assess. Now here comes the second part. Assess means evaluate the role of revolutionaries in freedom struggle of India. Assess the role of revolutionaries in freedom struggle of India. See the word very much carefully. It is not asking one thing, that assess the role of only these revolutionaries. It is simply saying assess the role of revolutionaries in the freedom struggle of India. It is not giving you the timeline, that for whom. It is simply giving you one thing. It is not giving you the period of time. It is simply saying you assess the role of revolutionaries in freedom struggle of India. Okay, so it means now what you have to do in this part, what you have to do, first part was this, second part you will talk about the achievements. You will talk about the achievements of them. That what were their achievement, how they have shaped the freedom struggle in India, how they have helped in mobilization of masses. There was a very famous quote of Jawaharlal Nehru perhaps about this, that they instilled the manhood among the Indians. They instilled the spirit of manhood among the Indians, that yes, we can fight against the British Empire. Okay, so this is one thing. You can use some examples also, you can mention some examples also. This is evaluation. So now you can use some small, like you can write points of 2 or 3 lines also, or you can also make use of some smaller paragraphs. Okay, So here you have the freedom. Now this is evaluation part. So you can be connecting also, or even if you are mentioning the points, now the points can be of 2 lines or 2.5 lines also. Okay, so this here you will find that even if you are going for point, these points can be somewhat comprehensive also. These points can be somewhat comprehensive points also. Okay, so this is one thing which you have to do here. Here you can have the comprehensive points because you have to evaluate. So evaluate cannot be in one word. Yes, good, bad, good, bad. You have to tell how it happened, what it did. Okay. So that is first part, achievements. And since it is evaluation, you have to also mention about the limitations. You also have to mention about the limitations, that what were the limitations for them, how they were not able to deliver the freedom for people in an instant mode, or what the limitations were there with their methods, with their approaches, with their acceptance, or whatever is there. Okay, so in the limitations also you can go in some point-wise manner. Some comprehensive points can be written. Save your word here, use your word in this part. Okay, you have got, like in this question, you have got something around 200 words. You have got something around 200 words. Okay, for writing the main body. 50 words, I am assuming 50 words you will be spending on introduction and conclusion. So you have got 200 words. Use this very much wisely. Majority of your words are going to be used in this portion. Do not use flowchart in here. Do not use flowchart in here. You have to evaluate. Do not use flowchart in this answer. It will be much more better if you go in a little bit of descriptive manner. So this is one thing which you can do. Okay. Then after, see, once you have done, once you have mentioned the achievement and limitations, now come the next part. Now comes the next part, that you have to write conclusion. You have to write the conclusion now. So what you will say in the conclusion? You cannot say that they were entirely successful, or you cannot say that they were unsuccessful. In the conclusion, since it is about national movement, you have to make sure that you are there on a balanced and a little bit on positive side. A less of balanced, more on the positive side. There is immense contribution of the revolutionaries in our Indian national movement. So when you have mentioned about their achievements and some limitations, you can mention in the conclusion that although they were not successful to immediately deliver the freedom of India, but they shaped the spirit of masses. They shaped the fundamental spirit in masses of nationalism. It was their ignition which fueled the country, with enormous a spirit of nationalism, which eventually led to freedom of India. Yeah. So you have to mention that yes, maybe they have not immediately succeeded, but in the long run they were able to overcome the challenges, or in long run they were able to inspire the masses, fuel them with the spirit of nationalism, which ultimately led to freedom of India. Okay. So this is one thing which you can do in conclusion. Little bit on positive side. On positive side. Now, remember here you don't have to write the way forward after limitations. No, you cannot write way forward for the revolutionaries. That is history. So you cannot mention the way forward over here. What you have to do is, you have to simply mention what were achievements, what were limitations. It means your evaluation part is done. Now in the conclusion part, you are giving your opinion. In the conclusion part, you are giving your opinion that how they mattered, how the revolutionaries mattered in the Indian national movement. I hope it is clear. Okay, first copy was of Deepa. Yes, Sheba, the team had checked it. It will not be possible for me to go through all the copies. They have forwarded me the best copies which were there. Okay. Some of the best copies, not all the best copies, some of them which we can show. Okay. But you have to do that self-evaluation also. Now I have given you format. Can all of you do the self-evaluation on the basis of this? Can you check your answer on this basis? Where you are doing good, where you are lacking? Can you check on the basis of this now? So see, now see, there are some other copies also. Let us see them as well. A few more copies, like this one copy was there. What factor led to the growth of revolutionary nationalism in India in early 20th century? And then this part, assess the role. Okay. So here it was talking about like this introduction was quite good. Like those who have written this answer, this introduction was quite good. That in the history of nationalism, revolutionary leaders were not the phenomena of once in a blue moon. Rather, they were going simultaneously as a parallel wave along with the Indian national movement. Okay, so those the person who have written this answer, this introduction part is quite interesting. Okay, so yes, this is one good part of your answer. Okay, now factors for growth, like you have written the different factors. Okay, now as I was telling you that don't use too much of words for writing the factors, save it. Okay, so here the factors have been highlighted. Then the role of revolutionaries in freedom struggle, that was also highlighted. Spread of consciousness, motivating youth, Swadeshi dacoities, Kakori conspiracy case, mobilization of youth, women revolutionaries. Okay, so due to lack of then this assessment part was also there. Due to lack of large social recognition and finance, this part was given. And then though the revolutionaries were not able to achieve their desired objective, but they made it clear to the British that Indians are not able to satisfy at anything less than complete freedom. So conclusion is also fine. Okay, but introduction was the best part of this answer. Okay, which copy it was? Okay, that was copy of Usha. Okay, fine. And this copy, it was written 1622 something. In the beginning of this copy, it was written 1622. Okay, so identify your copy. Then we have one more question. Yes, so this is some part of, these were some of the copies which I had seen, some of the very good answers which were written. We will try to incorporate more copies once some directives and other things are done. See, like I told you in the first session, that we will be also focusing on improving that skill part. Once that is done, then we will have only the questions to discuss and the copies to show. So in upcoming sessions, we will have more copies to show, but let's see in the next session who is writing much more better answer. Those who have got their copies on the board, now it will be a challenge for them. Are you able to retain that status or not? Okay, so coming to today's question, this is one question. When the question becomes simple, the answering part is something which becomes more complex. Remember this, when the questions are simple, the answers have to be much more better. The question is here, what is the importance of implementing Uniform Civil Code in India? What are existing challenges in its implementation? Discuss. Okay, so there are two parts of the question. Second is saying, what is central bank digital currency? Why Reserve Bank of India aims to increase the number of CBDC transaction in the retail segment? Explain. So this one is for 150 marks. Sorry, Both these questions are of 250 words. Both will be of 250 words. Okay. Both the questions for 250 words, 15 marks. So, okay. Now, so this is one part. We have seen the questions. You have got the questions also. Of course, you will be getting this model answer as well as part of the PDF. Okay. This PDF will also be shared, so you can get the content also. Okay. Now, at the same time, I hope that you will focus more on the structure which I have told you and less on the words which are written in the like model answer. Focus more on the structure. Words you can choose from yourself. You can make it much more shorter. Okay. You have to write in 250 words only. You have to write the answer in 250 words or 150 words only. So work on that part. Okay. Work on that part, that how you can ensure that. Okay. So next, on Friday, we will again have this session on YouTube as well as the application. Okay. And then you have to upload this question, upload the answer of these questions by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Okay. So let's meet on Friday then, but you have to upload it by tomorrow itself. You have to upload the answer for these two questions by tomorrow itself, by 3 p.m. Okay. So let's meet then on Friday. And when I will take your current affair classes, which batch? See, current affair classes right now are going on for all the batches now. For YouTube sessions, yes, there is classes at 5 p.m. that is going on. For those students who are there in online mode or even in offline mode at Karol Bagh Center, Old Rajendra Nagar Center, there also the classes are going on from the last Friday itself in offline mode. Okay. At the same time, those students who are also there as part of CAPF group, for them also the current affairs is going on. Okay. So all the current affair classes has started. So wherever you are, you can connect there. Okay. And even on YouTube, you can meet at 5 p.m. So thank you so much, everyone. Let's meet tomorrow. Let's meet day after tomorrow on Friday to discuss the remaining things. Thank you and good night. There is one question from Himanshi, that do we always need to use impressive language? No, you are not required to use the impressive language. You can write in simple language also. What you have to make sure that you have met the demand of the question, plus you have represented it in such a manner the person who is reading your answer gets all the point. Okay. So this is the only thing which you have to do. Okay. Yes, Himanshi, you have also asked one more thing. You have also asked one more thing about uploading part. So for this, I will say to you, for all of you, you have to write in the pen and paper format also. If you are having any such challenge in uploading, you can mention it to the technical team also. They will definitely help you in this regard. Yeah. So thank you so much. Take care and good night.